Hello, ladies and gentlemen, this is Mrs. Gallagher, and today we're going to learn how to solve a system of equations by elimination by using subtraction. So far we have solved systems using graphing, substitution, and elimination by adding. Now we can go one step further and show how to use elimination with subtraction. The elimination method is a way to solve a system of equations by eliminating a variable. And when we eliminate, this means to remove or get rid of. So when we eliminate, we are removing or getting rid of a variable. And let's recall, the addition and subtraction properties are the inverse. They undo each other. So now after discussing elimination, there are 3 steps to solve system of equations by elimination using subtraction. So now let's look at our 3 steps. Step 1, eliminate one variable by looking for the same coefficient with the same variable. So step 1, we're going to eliminate one variable by looking for the same coefficient with the same variable. So an example of that would be 2x and 2x. Both have the same coefficient and the same variable. Another example would be 4y and 4y. Again, they have the same coefficient and same variable. Your coefficient's 4, your variable is y. Now our next step, step 2, is we're going to subtract to eliminate. You're going to change all the signs in the second equation by distributing the subtraction sign. Then we're going to solve for the variable and follow the addition steps. So step 2, we're going to subtract to eliminate. You're going to change all the signs in the second equation, to the opposite by distributing the subtraction sign. Then solve for the variable by following the elimination by addition steps. So we're going to subtract to eliminate. We're going to change all the signs in the second equation to the opposite by distributing the subtraction sign. And then we're going to follow the steps by using the elimination by addition method. And then our last step, step 3, is we're going to plug in the answer from step 2 to find our other variable. Remember, your final answer is always in a coordinate. So step 3, you're going to plug in the answer from step 2 to find the other variable. Remember that your final answer is always in an XY coordinate. And then remember to also check your solution. You want to check your solution to make sure that your answer works. So let's do an example together. So let's look at example 1. Our directions state solve the system of equations by subtracting. And it says 6x minus 7y equals negative 4 and negative 4x minus 7y equals 26. So our first step is you want to eliminate the variable that has the exact same coefficient with the same variable. So if we look here, we have negative 7y in both equations, and you want to eliminate those. So now we're going to go to step 2. We want to subtract to eliminate, and we're going to change all the signs in the second equation, here's our second equation, by distributing the subtraction sign. So here we're going to subtract. You're going to subtract. And when we do that, when we have a subtraction, you are going to distribute our subtraction sign to each term. Just like that. Okay, so let's rewrite the first equation. It says 6x minus 7y equals negative 4. And now after we just distributed, we're going to distribute the subtraction. So we have a negative and a negative 4x. That gives us a positive 4x. We have a negative to a negative 7y, which gives us a positive 7y. And then we have a negative to a positive 26. So it equals a negative 26. So now after we distributed the subtraction sign to each term, we're going to now follow the addition method with elimination. So now we're going to add. And we can now cancel out our negative 7y and positive 7y because that equals 0. So we'll cancel that. And we're now going to add. 6x plus 4x gives us 10x equals, this is a negative 4 plus a negative 26. It's a negative 4. So a negative 4 plus a negative 26, same signs, add and keep the sign. It gives us this negative 30. And then our last step is divide both sides by 10. Therefore, x equals negative 30 divided by 10 is negative 3. So that's step 2. Now our last step is you want to plug in the negative 3 into our equation to solve for y. So let's rewrite it. Our first equation, 6x minus 7y equals negative 4. 6 times, we just solve for our x value, which is negative 3. We just solve for our x, which is negative 3. We're just plugging it in. Minus 7y equals negative 4. 6 times a negative 3 is negative 18. Minus 7y equals negative 4. Now we have a two-step equation. We want to bring the negative 18 over to the negative 4. So to undo that, we're going to add 18 to both sides. 18's cancel. Bring down your 7y equals negative 4 plus 18 gives us a positive 14. Divide both sides by negative 7. And your y value is equal to negative 2. So remember, your answer is going to be in an xy coordinate. So our x value we solve for is a negative 3. And our y value equals negative 2. And remember, you can check your answer to see if it works by plugging in negative 3 for your x value and negative 2 for your y value, and you can see if the equation equals negative 4. Let's do another example together. So let's look at example 2. It says x plus 3y equals 9 and x minus 2y equals negative 6. Your first step is to identify the term that's exactly the same in both equations, which are your x's. So I'm going to rewrite my first equation, x plus 3y equals 9, before doing step 2. So step 2 is to subtract your second equation, and you want to distribute the subtraction sign to each term in the second equation. So you have a negative times a positive x, which gives you a negative x. You have a negative times a negative 2y. A negative times a negative gives you a positive 2y. And then you have a negative times a negative 6. Two negatives give you a positive 6. So essentially what you're doing is you're changing your signs to the second equation to all the opposite. Okay, they're all going to become opposite. And now we're going to follow the addition method of elimination. So now you're going to add them. Your x's are going to cancel. So now we have 3y plus 2y gives us 5y equals, and we have 9 plus 6, which gives us 15. Next step is to divide both sides by 5. 5's cancel. And 15 divided by 5 gives us 3. So y equals 3. Our next step, step 3, is to find our other variable by plugging in our y value, which is 3. So let's rewrite our first equation, which is x plus 3y equals 9. So x plus 3, we found out y equals 3. We're just substituting, we're plugging it in, replacing our y value. Okay, our y is equal to 3. We just solve for that. Equals 9. Next step is to multiply 3 times 3. So x plus 3 times 3 is 9. And that equals 9. And our last step is to undo your 9, subtract it from both sides. These cancel. So x equals 9 minus 9 is 0. X equals 0 is your answer. And then remember, you want your final answer in a coordinate form. So our x value we just solved for is 0. And then your y value is 3. So our final answer is 0, 3. And remember, you can substitute to replace it. So you want to check your answer. You would plug in your x value, which is 0, right here. And then your y value, which is 3. So 3 times 3 is 9 plus 0, and that gives us 9. So does that work? Yes, it does. Let's do one more example together. Okay, so in example 3, it says 4x plus 2y is 14, and 5x plus 2y equals 16. First step is to identify your same variable and constant, which is 2y. So I'm going to rewrite my first equation, 4x plus 2y equals 14. And then now I'm going to distribute my subtraction to each term in the equation in my second equation. So I have a negative times a positive 5x is negative 5x. I have a negative times a positive 2y, which is a negative 2y. And then I have a negative times a positive 16, which gives me a negative 16. My next step is to follow the addition method. So if you look here, these are going to cancel out because they're the inverse of each other. Now we're going to add negative 4x minus 5x is a negative 1x. Bring down your equal sign. And 14 minus 16 is a negative 2. Our last step is divide both sides by negative 1, negative 2, divided by negative 1, x equals a positive 2. So we found our x value. Now let's find our y value. So we're going to write down our first equation again, which is 4x plus 2y equals 14. We found out that x equals 2, so we're going to replace our x with 2 here. So 4 times 2 plus 2y equals 14. We're going to multiply 4 times 2, which is 8, plus 2y equals 14. This is a two-step equation. So we're going to subtract 8 from both sides, get your like terms together. And 2y equals 14 minus 8 is 6. Divide both sides by 2. 2's cancel. And then 6 divided by 2 gives us 3. Therefore, y equals 3. And then our last step, you always want to put it in an x, y coordinate. So our x value we solved for was 2. So your x goes first, 2. And then your y value we solved for was 3. So your final answer is 2, 3. And again, remember, you can always check your answer to see if it works. So now what I would like you to do is the you try section. Please solve the system of equations by subtracting and complete numbers 1 and 2, and we will discuss it in class. Thank you.